Yeah, this is. Sorry, I'm not. I think it's a horrible idea if we're actually going to, in any way, shape, or form, get involved in Iran and Israel. I don't know what people think is going to come out of this that's good. Right? Regime change is great. Really? We have done regime change 70 times since World War II. You know how many times it's actually worked? 5. You know how many times it's fell apart? Over 20 times. It has fallen apart and ended up horrible, unstable, falling apart. The other times, a mixed bag of yuck. So this is what we're going to do? So young Ken in there, reminder. So what did Trump say in his truth? It's weird. Trump's
Stand by. Well, the highlight is that he's threatening Iran's supreme leader.
Yeah.
By saying we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, parentheses, kill, exclamation point, parentheses, at least for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then another post after that, all caps, unconditional surrender, exclamation point.
Okay. I feel like that because I hear a lot of we in a lot of this stuff. And we feels like we are involved.
Well, I mean, I don't know how else to take that.
I don't know either. And this, and for all the people out there who, again, Kurt and I were just talking about, over 55, you seem to be pretty war excited. Under 55, not so much. Because, your kids are grown and they're not going to war. Maybe your grandkids are. That might change your mind. But this thought that magically, let's just say we kill the Ayatollah. What does that do for us? Is it magical that some sort of gummy bear dressed like Santa Claus comes out and runs the nation? And is like, hey, guys, it's me, Gummy McGummerson here from Iran. Why don't you guys come on over? We'll all be friends. Do you think that's going to happen? I'm trying to figure it out. I mean, I've heard everything from even, are you ready for this? The Shah's son, the last son.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because that worked out well. I mean, I'm curious about what you think the outcome is going to be when you go in regime change. How many times it's worked out well? Anybody got anything solid? So wait, 20 years you guys are? Yeah, 20 years. We came in here because Taliban was letting everybody do all their stuff, and we were just showing them, and we're like, hey guys, get it like $50 quadrillion. Let's see a whole bunch of people die, and our men and women soldiers fight and everything, and billions of dollars spent on all kinds of stuff, and then and now we're leaving. Who's in charge now? Taliban. We showed them. What's the end game out of this? Because I feel like Trump is trying his hardest, I think, to negotiate. And then every time he says, hey, we're getting close, we're going to negotiate, Bibi's like, I don't want to negotiate. Yeah, I feel like there's two messages going on here.
Well, there was the first message last week from the Israeli ambassador to the UN, who defended the attacks that Marco Rubio called unilateral on Iran as a result of intelligence that showed that Iran and its proxies planned an invasion of Israel from multiple fronts. But then it changed to Iran was too close to having an actual nuclear weapon. So it's kind of like what is it?
It's the moving goalpost. It's like they've got 20 gazillion. I heard somebody yesterday. Well, they've got like 8,000 ballistic missiles. That's equivalent of 2 nuclear bombs. No. You were saying they got nuclear bombs. Their 8,000 doesn't equate to that. There's a lot of countries that have ballistic missiles. So it's this, like you said, they're close to a nuclear weapon. I was telling Bell. So, I mean, you and I are about the same age, all of us.
Yeah, 50s.
They've been trying for how long to get a nuclear weapon in theory? And they haven't. I mean, could they? There's potential. They get to that level where it is possible for a breakout. Yeah, there is that possibility. and that's why we should have a stronger monitoring. That being said, even and they've broken from, because Tulsi Gabbard earlier this year said they are not anywhere close to getting a nuclear weapon, and they show no signs of wanting to get one. And now Trump's come out and goes, "Oh, I'm not listening to her." Well, no, because you're listening to Bibi. And this, I want to know where this ends up, because as everybody seems to be, like 3 weeks ago, we were like, we got a lot of debt. Whew, we got a lot of debt. We should worry about that. Now I feel like, well, we don't have enough debt. We need to take more debt on. We do, you know. Israel reminds me sometimes of like that cool buddy you have, but you like, we can't take him out because he fights. Man, we just want to go to a bar and have a beer and hang out, and next thing you know, we're over there laughing. We turn around and dude's picked a fight with 8 people. We got to go over there.
I had a few of those.
Yeah. And then after a while, you're like, I don't want to take him out anymore, man. He's a pain in the ass. I mean, he's fun, but then there's also that other part where it's like, oh, come on, dude. We're just one night. They're not even done with Hamas yet. So, yeah, we should all be a little bit pissed. Because this is not, you know, I saw Tim Dillon, and I've been saying this for, everybody's like, they say death to America. And what are they going to do to you? You're living in Tennessee. Listen to me right now. What are they going to do to you? What is Iran?
They've been saying death to America since the late 70s.
Yeah. What are they going to do to you? They're not doing anything to you. They can scream all they want. They can say we're the great Satan. A lot of countries say it. But what are they? Is it putting more money in your bank account? Is it getting the debt down for us? Is it helping you find a job with livable wages? Is it making sure your rent and your mortgage is paid? Those things are the things that matter. But I feel like this is a great mistake. And I'm not putting this on Trump unless he allows this to go much further. I'm not saying we don't help him out with some of the stuff, but you do realize that outside of Ukraine, there's nobody we fund like we do Israel. So it's not like, because I heard a bunch of people say yesterday, we give Ukraine stuff. And by the way, yesterday, so where they bombed the missiles yesterday, landed essentially their Pentagon. You know what was there? Ukrainian refugees in Israel. So now Ukraine should be mad at them. We'll get them to fight. They got all kinds of stuff. Go over there and ask them. So this is going to be a frustrating time. And a lot of you, I see it on the, you know, like same thing with Chris. Chris said they all get mad at me. I'm like, well, they all seem to want war. I don't want war, and I don't want regime change. And if they want regime, here's the regime change that works from the inside. That's what works. Because doing it from the outside, we have seen how that works. And who are we going to put there? An occupation, by the way, let me tell you something about occupation. You think that fighting a war is expensive, as we have seen. Try occupying someplace that doesn't want you there, where every corner has potentially a sniper on it. And that's the scary thing. And again, I look at Iran. I'm not a fan of their world that they live in and the things that they believe. And I'm talking about the upper. I don't know anybody below that. But that being said, we can't get involved in everything. And why is it we always have to feel we have to get involved in this situation? I think it's a fair question. If you're worried about the cost of what our future looks like with the amount of debt we're taking out. By the way, all this big, beautiful bill doesn't have the potential for this stuff in it. What did Thomas Massey, he proposed you got to go to Congress to get anything done?
Yes.
So, I don't know how that would even look. So, you know, I just don't know. I mean, I don't know how that people think this is going to play out. And then here's the thing. For everybody that's wanting, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, who all want this, who all want to go to war, who all want this, you know, like, yeah, let's do it. You're not doing it. Like, you're not patting, right? Sitting out there on the tank with the gun leading the charge. No, you're doing it from somewhere else, like a lot of these people. We should, at this point in time, if we're going to start sending missiles, we should do them like NASCARs so we can know who's been bought and sold and who's sponsored by who. So we're like, oh, at least we know. And this is all I want. Tell me what changes if we go and kill the Ayatollah. And tell me the next person with certainty, because you can look into the future, that the next person is a free-loving, open it up, let's get back to the regular old 1970s swinging fun of Tehran, and that we love everybody. Tell me that. I bet you I don't get a lot of those. And when you've got the guy in BB saying, I don't want to negotiate because I don't believe it. It's a fake news, fake negotiation. And Trump's like, we should negotiate. I feel like Trump is trying to chase him down and try to say, dude, what are you doing? This is, you still haven't figured out what to do with Hamas. And you just open up another front. Israel said that it's going to hit very significant targets today in Tehran, which is going to be interesting. It's going to be a wild night. There's no doubt about that. And all this is going on. Last night was arguably the worst night in Kyiv with massive bombs. So Putin's over there going, hey, guys, don't forget about me. Remember when you want to be mad at me? Now you're mad at this guy. Oh, so much stuff to get today. We got fun stuff too, kids. It can't just be about war. I have to make Ken smile. I mean, that's part of the contract that they gave me. Got to make Ken smile. Got to make him laugh at least 3 or 4 times a day. And we're going to try to do that today. Want to reach out to me, and that's fine. I'm cool with you guys. I just want to know what you think the future is going to be. I'm going to read your stuff on the air, your love and your hate. So text the program. Let me know. You can tweet at us as well, at Chad Benson Show. Check us out across all the socials. We got the X. For me, at Chad Benson Show. Check out, of course, our X, as well as our YouTube, as well as our Facebook, and our Twitch. Again, don't wonder why we're not on Rumble, but it is what it is. So check us out across the board. We love hearing from all of you. I'm going to read some of your stuff coming up as well. Got crazy audio and more on the crazy shooter because the stories are, well, it's confusing to say the least. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all of this incredible stuff packed into an amazing supplement that you give your dog on a daily basis. Your dog will love it. It's like a new dog, right? It's just 1 scoop a day. Dog food is dead food. It's meant to live on a shelf. Shelf stable, they call it. You start giving your dog this with all the live nutrients. You watch what happens. Your dog's food is going to come to life in a way that your dog's going to love the taste, but you're going to love what it does for him with their digestive tract, with their aches and their pains and their joints, their skin, their fur, all of that stuff. It is amazing. I want you to try a Jumpstart trial bag of this today. It's a $20 value. All it costs you is shipping. It's that simple. ruffgreens.com/Chad. You go there now. Use my code Chad. You get it for free. You just cover the cost of shipping. ruffgreens.com/Chad. ruffgreens.com/Chad.
All right, so Israel and Iran continue trading missile strikes. We've got more on what President Trump is saying on social media, threats to Iran's supreme leader. And I've got some sound of New York City mayoral candidate Brand Lander getting arrested by ICE. That's coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
This will be interesting. I mean, if you're going to go to war, if we're going to do any of that stuff, Congress should be involved. And I know Congress loves to give up all of their powers. That's one of their favorite things to do. What are you waking up today? What are you guys doing? Giving away our powers. But there's got to be buy-in from this. And I don't think there's the buy-in that people think. I mean, you have the neocons and the people that they love this stuff. And you've got the big arms makers. I'll tell you what, if we do, I'm going to go buy Halliburton up, go buy Raytheon. Anybody that makes a weapon, purchase their stock.
Except Boeing.
Except for Boeing. They're not doing well. I don't know what they make, but just planes, I heard. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. Just should be frustrated. This is not what, a lot of you who live in a world and Trump is it, and many of you who think, somebody just texted and they said, if they're going to go after Iran, they need to go after the entire Middle East. That feels like that's not going to be good. So wait, you want the Jews, Israel, to go after the entire Middle East with God knows how many hundreds and millions of Muslims so they can do what? Rule over them? That feels like a recipe for disaster. And if Iran was a true threat, everybody said, well, why don't they say death to America, death to China? That's all they say is death to America. They didn't say that in the 70s, right? They didn't, whoever is going to be their sugar daddy at the time, China and Russia, that's who it is. But do you think for a moment we're going to be able to kill their leader and then install somebody who's, A, going to have a chance to survive for very long? I don't see it happening. And the last thing we want is more instability in a place that, quite frankly, is a little bit unstable, right? They're a little bit, it's not well at this moment in time. And so we should all be thinking about, what's the end game here? Because we are great at getting into stuff. Man, we are awesome at right into something. Let's go. We got this. We got this on lock. And then the next thing you know, we go, we do it. And then we sit around and go, okay, what's the next step? Well, we broke everything and we destroyed everything. And then now we should put somebody, dude, do you want to be in charge? And it's like, yeah, I guess so. And then that guy's in charge. And that guy's worse than the other guy. And then halfway through, he didn't like us. So there needs to be a plan. And I feel like the plan is Israel wants to get rid of this regime. And when I heard yesterday Bibi say, well, once we get rid of him, it's over. Do you really think that's true? I mean, I don't. I don't think it's true. And look, the ayatollahs and the mullahs have done a lot. We all know what a pain in the ass they've been to any of the Western world, not just us, but all over the place. But now let's take into account, let's just say for the sake of argument, they go in and they wipe a bunch of stuff out. Now you got refugees fleeing to other parts of the globe. Well, we didn't think about the unintended consequences there. Then all of a sudden you've got people that are potentially really bad going to other parts of the world who are looking to fill a vacuum now that that their leader's gone. And now Israel's surrounded by even more people that are uncomfortable with what's going on. And oh, by the way, if we sanction it, how do you think the rest of the place that Trump is trying to hopefully build a coalition to help, get rid of Hamas and do something with Palestine, how do you think they're going to feel about the fact that we helped eliminate somebody who's a leader of their country? probably not super excited to do business. These are all unintended consequences. And if Iran was really that big of a threat, and if it really was that big of a threat, then we would have been, all over it a long time ago. But even this year, when Tulsi Gabbard comes out, she says something, and everybody's like, well, we dismiss her. Why? Because you don't like what she had to say. But it was the same thing last year and the year before. And of course they'd love to have a nuclear weapon. You know why if they had a nuclear weapon? You know what would happen? Anybody? Can you guess if they had a nuclear weapon right now? What do you think would happen?
China would celebrate.
Yeah, but you know what really happened? Nothing, because nobody would attack them. Because that's what tends to happen when you have a nuclear weapon. You can't let them get it. But is this the answer? We'll take your text. Got a bunch of other stuff coming up. Ken's got the latest in the news, and I'm interested to hear about the guy who got taken in by ICE. Oh, my God. Okay, is this the socialist guy?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Oh, God, this is his dream day. They just made him mayor.
So, Brad Lander.
Yes. Oh, goodness me. Craziness, man. It's all happening here. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
$12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Aerial attacks between Israel and Iran continue, marking a fifth day of strikes following Israel's Friday attack. President Trump on social media posting about Iran's supreme leader. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers with the latest.
President Trump writes in a new social media post Tuesday afternoon that the U.S. knows where Iran's supreme leader is hiding and adds, quote, he is an easy target but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. The message coming after two U.S. officials told ABC News Sunday that the president rejected an Israeli plan in recent days to kill Ayatollah Khamenei. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told ABC Monday that Israel won't rule out an attempt to assassinate him.
Right now in New York City and all over social media, New York City Comptroller and mayoral candidate Brad Lander getting arrested by ICE at immigration court today. The 55-year-old progressive who advocates for police reform, affordable housing, better management of the migrant crisis has allegedly been accompanying immigrants exiting immigration court and helping shield them from possible detention by ICE. Right now in Tennessee, News 2 says 12 inmates involved in the 3-hour June 8th riot at Trousdale Turner Correctional Facility earlier this month have been indicted. Authorities say guards were held hostage until tear gas was used to contain the inmates in cells. The grand jury returning charges of aggravated riot, inciting a riot, robbery, aggravated kidnapping, aggravated assault, vandalism, and contraband in a penal institution. And right now in Iowa, 88 children in protective custody after deputies say they rescued them from a church camp where they were being abused. The Louisa County Sheriff's Office says the operation took place after reports of child abuse and endangerment there at the camp at the Shekinah Glory Camp in Columbus Junction, Iowa, run by the Kingdom Ministry of Rehab and Recreation, which says its mission is assisting individuals in breaking free from addiction through God's Word. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's June. Time to get your system serviced the best way, Busy Bee way. That's right. How does the beach trip sound? Our friends over at Busy Bee are ready. Purchase new AC unit in June and be entered into a free 3-day beach getaway. You buy the unit, they're going to take care of the vacation, including gas, 2 meals per day, and lodging. The winner is going to be announced on Facebook Live. Only clients who purchased a new AC unit in June are eligible to enter. Only one winner. Restrictions apply. Here's some of the great specials, though, going on right now with Busy Bee. That includes things like your ducks. You need to get those things clean? That's great. How about a free upgrade with your package? You buy the mid-level package, you get the upgrade super package, deluxe package, for free on top of that. How about this? $500 off select tankless or upright water heaters, 15% off whole home drained repipes, $99 video drain inspection, and, of course, my favorite thing, the Beehive Club. Right now, you buy one, you get one free. So you buy a year, you get a year free. It's just $99. And, of course, with the rebates and everything, it is amazing. It pays for itself, and you're at the top of the list in the cool club with the Beehive Club. Call Busy Bee today for any of your HVAC and plumbing needs, 775-7833, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com. Or you tell me if this is a guy who wants to negotiate. Oh, okay, so this ends it all? I mean, he said it, right? So the minute we take out the Ayatollah, then it's over. The whole thing is over. There's nothing to worry about. It's done. It's over. That's what he said. Then why haven't we taken out the Ayatollah, I don't know, 2 decades ago, right? Am I wrong about that? If that's going to be the end game, we take him out, game over, then do it. But what do you bet that there's going to be something else behind it? And that's my issue with this. That's my issue. And I ask you guys, can you guarantee that the person behind it isn't going to be worse? You can't because there's no guarantee. It's a human being. And so what are we stuck with if we go in there? And somebody just said, oh, who are you to talk about, you failed comedian having no boots on the ground? Because I don't want boots on the ground. Do we want to pay for another forever war? Have we not got, is there a lesson out there that we've not learned? I feel like we should be learning lessons. And I feel like we're not. And we should. We should absolutely be learning lessons. So we're going to find out in the coming days and weeks. I don't know what it looks like. And somebody said, Chad, you said the we. And I said, well, that's Ken read it to us. It said we know where you are. We could take you out at any time, right? That's what it said, right, Ken?
That's what it says.
All right. So, and I don't know who the we is, but I do believe the we is us, unless the Canadians are involved. I don't think the Canadian, no, the Canadians not involved? No? Okay. Just trying to figure it all out. Christine Cordero talking about Padilla. This is interesting. Remember, Alex? He was like big news for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
He was all over, like MSNBC clutching their pearls. Oh, my God.
He was brutalized by ICE.
Oh, we had to do the whole like viewer discretion is advised, right? Because that's how bad it was. Oh, goodness. An active impulse. Guys, it's an active impulse.
I love how the media just is trying their best to keep this thing alive.
They are. Well, war's kind of a tough thing.
Only a grown adult could have impulse control.
So wait, I want to go over this again. You got walked in there by the was it the National Guard and the FBI?
Yeah.
And then you exploded? I'm trying. Did they think that you were a reporter? I feel like your story's getting even weirder, dude. I do. I feel like your story's not quite all there with this.
All right.
That's not the America I know.
The America I know is senators and congressmen and women respect. They show respect, and they don't barge into the middle of a press conference and start demanding that the person speaking answer their question.
Yeah, and you weren't. And by the way, your questions were you screaming loud over her. It wasn't even the question and answer time.
Yeah, it was accusatory.
And she, by the way, if you watch it, she never slows down. She keeps going. She just keeps going. And he's got people to film it. And then afterwards, you go and you do what? They finally let you up, and you are able to say who you are. And from there, you're able to then, get some FaceTime with her afterwards and another meeting. You exchange niceties and you exchange numbers. And you said it was good, and then you go out 10 minutes later, and you almost burst into tears.
Yeah.
Over the tragedy that was.
The security detail's job there was to eliminate a threat. They had no idea who he was. And in order to secure the scene, if you will, you've got to put that potential threat in cuffs. You've got to disarm them, if you will. So then you can figure out what's going on. And that's all that happened.
That's it. That's all that happened. It wasn't that.
And now he's going on the Senate floor.
He acted like they took him over to the corner and they beat him and they kicked him and they treated him like Rodney King. And it was this. No, nobody knew who you were. And if anybody escorted you in there, did you alert anybody else?
Yeah.
And you saying I'm a senator means nothing. And this whole thought of, well, hey, he's a senator. I love what the old Minnesota governor said. He goes, I do politics for a living. I had no idea who he was. I had no idea who he was. I asked my friends from California, you know who he was? 1 out of 4 got it right. So 3 had no idea. They'd heard the name, but they didn't know who the guy was. So you going, I'm a senator, means nothing. And now I'm sure he has to go for therapy and the whole 9 yards. So the mayor candidate in New York was arrested.
Yeah.
Over, was it fighting against ICE?
Well, they claim that he's been showing up at immigration hearings and helping shield defendants from ICE agents, helping them get out of the building.
Oh, one of those.
One of those, yeah.
He's the comptroller.
Yeah, he's the comptroller who's running for mayor.
Does the comptroller have that kind of power?
I don't know.
Like, do you have that kind of power? Like, hey, guys, I don't know if you're aware of this. I'm the head dog catcher. You guys come over here. I'll hide you and get you out of here. These people are just... And it's, once again, though, let me tell you something. Nobody knew his name.
No.
Because he's like, you got Cuomo, and then you've got the socialist guy that's running that everybody thinks has a shot at winning.
Oh, I thought it was this guy.
No, that guy is, I forget his name, but he would love to have had this happen to him. He's probably trying. They're all waiting in line for their turn to run through it.
Oh, absolutely. They can't wait to get arrested.
No, they can't wait. That's their goal. Because they know they're not going to be charged with anything. And then they know they're going to get high profiled, and CNN and MSNBC is going to have you on, and then you can go for like, what did you think was going to happen? They took you into custody around 75 cameras. Did you think they were going to shoot you right there? We know where you were going. Oh,
Zoran for New York City, Brother Chad.
That's right.
Zoran Mandani.
That's the guy. That is the guy. That is the guy. Got a lot of love here, Ken. I've been told to get my head out of my ass. I'm a bad decision being on the station. So that is the funny thing. It's great. Like all of those, you're the worst, you're bad, because I don't want war. God, it feels like you guys want war. This is not about Trump, okay? So if that's the cult you're living in, I'm not going to help you on that one. But if you think that war is fun or they've got a nuclear weapon. Well, if they have a nuclear weapon, I can almost guarantee you there would be no war at this moment in time. Oh, they would be a hermit nation, much like North Korea, but I don't think that Bibi would have got jumpy with it.
I would think if they had a nuclear weapon locked and loaded, we would know about it. They would announce it.
They would have absolutely announced. And here's the other thing. If they really got that close to something in today's world of knowing how close the Mossad gets to a lot of these things, this would have taken place a long time ago in a much more quiet way than this. I'm just not a fan of war. There's times when wars need to be fought. We go back to World War II. There are times, and there are other times when it feels like a money grab. And for Bibi, I go back to this when they talked about getting rid of Ayatollah. I don't know how that ends it.
Well, and then again, last week, the reason Israel struck Iran, according to Marco Rubio, unilaterally, and according to the Israeli ambassador to the UN, was because they had evidence that Iran and its proxies were about to invade Israel.
Yeah, so that's like a lot of different things going on there.
But then, over the weekend, it became they were getting close to having a nuclear weapon.
Well, what is it?
Exactly. I mean, what is it? And... Well, I think President Trump needs to hold a press conference.
I think so too. Come out and tell the people, look, here's the deal. Have your meeting with your cabinet today, and then come out and say, we're doing everything to protect our ally and friends over there. If we're going to give them some stuff, let's give them some stuff. And then if you're going to make the basis that we need to attack Iran, I think you need to let the American people know why. Don't do Obama where you just send over drones willy-nilly to blow people up in cars. You know, because this is a much different thing than killing Soleimani on a tarmac. You're talking about going into another nation potentially with 40,000 of our men and women all within reach. And they do not have the luxury of having the Iron Dome, the THAAD missile stuff. They have none of that stuff there. So I think we should all have an understanding. And I believe this, and I'll say it. I think Bibi would love the fact that Iran would fire at our people because I think he wants us in this. It feels like he's pulling us in more and more. And then I get the obligatory, you hate the Jews.
I don't know where that comes from.
Well, that's an easy thing to say, right? You hate the Jews.
Aren't you part Jewish?
I am, but it doesn't matter because I'm a self-loathing hater. That's my favorite one. You hate the Jews. So much chaos, so much craziness. Coming up, lots of stuff. We'll do some fun stuff as well. If you're missing the show, shame on you. Grab the podcast. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Birch gold. All right, check this out. Gold, important. Why? Unsettled times. You've got this opportunity here with the BRICS meeting next month. Could we see a decoupling of the U.S. dollar? Could that really hurt the dollar, send it spiraling? Protect yourself with gold. It's been a safe haven for, centuries. And whether you're thinking, hey, Chad, why Birch? Well, first of all, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They're who I go to for my precious metals. But it doesn't matter. Maybe you want the physical. You'd like to own it. You'd like to have it. They can help you with that. Maybe you've got a 401k, an IRA, or a savings account, and you'd like to move it over to a tax-free one. Birch can help you with that. No matter what you're looking to do, diversification is key. And in an unsettled time like this, this is the time to jump on the gold. So what are you waiting for? Text the word Benson now to 989898 today for Birch Gold. Talk to them about what they can do for you. Their whole thing is arm you with information, let you make your own decisions. Text Benson to 989898 today for Birch Gold.
President Trump posts a threat to Iran's supreme leader. We got that story and more at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Breaking news. He's never in the mood anymore. Have you thought about warmonger? Warmonger for the bedroom. Somebody just texted something that says, Bibi wants to control our army. Oh, he wants our military. Ken, you and I were talking about this before. They have mini bunker busters, and they need the big dogs. They don't have the big dogs we do. So if they want to get and penetrate really deep, they're going to need those. That means we'd have to give that stuff up to them. And I don't know, if
I don't know if they can deliver it.
Yeah, I don't know either. And look, I'm not saying Israel can do whatever Israel wants to do. I just want to know why we always have to be the ones. Tell me. I'm going to find it in a little bit. Tim Dillon is talking about, well, everybody's worried about this. Is this putting food on your table? No. Is this costing us more money in the future potentially? Yes. Would I like to think that a month from now that Trump has fixed this and all sorted it out? But I have no idea, because much of this has zero to do about Trump and all to do about what Netanyahu does and the reaction of Iran at that point in time. And it's funny, for the same people who don't trust the CIA for anything now want to say, well, the CIA knows better. Like, so wait, you don't trust them on some stuff, but this stuff you trust them on. I don't want to see anybody die. And the thing about Trump is, what I think a lot of people love about him is the guy wants everybody to own a hotel, right? Hang out with hot mamas, party a little bit, drink some tequila, have a little bit of fun, maybe have a burnt steak and a hamburger. Let's all make a little bit of money. That's the beauty of Trump. He wants to make a deal. Let's make deals. Let's get stuff done. But have you guys, for all the, you know this, you know that, I'm blessed and I'm fortunate that in being in this business for 30 plus years, I've got some contacts. They're not idiots. And there is definitely a chasm inside of this administration with what some people want. And I'm not just talking about here. So we'll see what takes place. I mean, I'd love to think, hey, you know what? Calmer, cooler heads prevail. That'd be fantastic. They get a deal done. But what's a deal outside of going in and occupying the nuclear facilities that is going to get done to the likings of Israel? What if it's never enough for Israel when it comes to Iran? I think there's a fair question right there. What if it's never enough? It's never enough. Coming up next hour, we got fun stuff. I got funny audio for Ken that I'm pulling. Man, there's some wackadoos out there. I'm always interested in the wackadoos taking to the internet to talk about stuff. Just crazy. Bunch of other stuff. Talk a little bit about the shooting in Minnesota as well, and some fallout from that. If you missed the show, shame on you, grab the podcast. It is The Chad Benson Show.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And aerial attacks between Israel and Iran continuing, marking a fifth day of strikes. President Trump on social media posting about Iran Supreme Leader. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest.
President Trump writes in a new social media post Tuesday afternoon that the U.S. knows where Iran's supreme leader is hiding and adds, quote, he is an easy target but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. The message coming after two U.S. officials told ABC News Sunday that the president rejected an Israeli plan in recent days to kill Ayatollah Khamenei. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told ABC Monday that Israel won't rule out an attempt to assassinate him. President Trump in his post Tuesday says the U.S. does not want to see missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers, adding, quote, our patience is wearing thin. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
And a Republican lawmaker in the House has drafted a bill to prevent the use of American forces against Iran.
The measure to block the use of U.S. forces in Iran is being introduced by Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie. It already has several prominent Democratic co-sponsors. The bill invokes the 1973 War Powers Act, which calls for the removal of U.S. forces from a conflict if both houses pass a concurrent resolution. But that law, which was enacted over a president's veto, has been the subject of interbranch debate over its constitutionality since it went on the books 5 decades ago.
So 5 days of trading missiles, at least 24 people killed in Israel, 220 in Iran. Right now in New York City.
By asking for a judicial warrant? You don't have the authority.
That's New York City Comptroller and mayoral candidate Brad Lander getting arrested by ICE at immigration court today. The 55-year-old progressive who advocates for police reform and better management of the immigrant crisis has allegedly been helping shield immigrants from possible detention by ICE after their court hearings. And right now in Nashville, it's day 2 of the competency hearing of the man accused of killing Belmont University student Jillian Ludwig with a stray bullet in 2023. Here's Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
Yesterday, we heard emotional testimony from family members and psychologists, all trying to answer whether Taylor can stand trial.
If you think about what a typical 18-month-old is able to do in terms of language is very little, and yet his deficits were so severe and so obvious that even relative to other 18-month-olds who don't have a command of language yet, it was obvious that Mr. Taylor was not developing at the same sort of pathway.
And Jillian's family has made it clear they want Taylor to be found competent so he can stand trial.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Trump said there's no guarantee that the U.S. bombs could destroy Iranian nuclear bunkers. So if our bombs can't destroy their nuclear bunkers, and we know Israel's can't, at this point in time, what are we doing? You'd have to invade them to get to them. When you think? Feels like that's what would have to happen. Feels like that's where you'd have to go to get to that. I'm just, again, putting it out there. Don't want it. I want no part of it. And it has nothing to do with, it's weird because there's a lot of people out there, and my age, we all remember what happened, right? So there was communist, didn't like him. We got the Shah. Shah was 21. He ruled for quite a long time. Eventually, they got him out of there because he came over here. And that's one of the reasons they absolutely hate us. It's because of what, we give them the opportunity to come to America as well. They weren't a big fan of that over there. Then everything went to hell. And they've had, hell for many, many moons since. But replacing a head of state that you murdered, that you bombed, that is man, I tell you what, that's a slippery slope. That is. Very much so. And we're going to find out. We'll talk a little bit more about this. No doubt about that. Dave Smith, who was, by the way, everybody's mad at Dave Smith, and he's an interesting character. Here's a guy he's a podcaster, he's a comedian, and he's Jewish, by the way, so there's that. He's not a fan of what Israel's doing. It hasn't been. Okay. Again, with October 7th, I think up until a certain point, Israel had every right to do what they were doing. Hamas cannot stick around. But then you come to the point where, okay, now you're just blowing up bigger rocks into little rocks. So what are you doing at that point in time? So there's some serious questions about how are you going to fix that. And there's still a lot of questions to be asked there about this. But then, he was somewhat of a supporter of Trump. And he has come out and, has apologized, says he's off the Trump train and the whole 9 yards. And, I don't think Trump should be impeached because Trump hasn't done anything yet. I'd like to see him stand up and say, all right, we're not doing these things. We can help Bibi with some of the defensive stuff. I don't know if you guys need bombs. That being said, there are a lot of this is the split here because this was a lot of the podcast revolution, new media revolution in this last election. That, the biggest mistake that you go back and ask anybody, what's the biggest mistake that, Kamala made a lot of mistakes, but the biggest was she wouldn't go on with Rogan. And Dave Smith and Rogan, they're on all the time. And Dave Smith a couple of weeks ago argued with Murray on the whole Israel situation. He had this to say yesterday. And he also talked about the fact that he thinks he's going to lose a bit of his coalition for what's going on with immigration. Because he says, look, you look out there, midterm's a perfect example. You've got tons of people that are organized. This is a different kind of organization. We talked about it yesterday, the Women's March and all that stuff. There is a massive organization where some people are very frustrated, even supporters of Trump, who are, well, wait a minute here. You said you were going after the worst first. And then you've got the ones who are going, wait, you said now you're thinking about exemptions for hotel workers and for restaurateurs and for farm workers. What is that about? There's a lot of frustration across the board because I think a lot of people thought stuff was going to get done, and it hasn't. Here's one thing he did do. He closed the border, period. It was easy because he enforced the law. That's all you got to do. That was it. One thing. What are you going to do? Enforce law. But we move on from there to now this, and this is much bigger. People are still wondering, what about Ukraine? We're going to get that done, before we even get there. Well, here you are. We're more than, almost 6 months into your second term, and it feels like Ukraine's not even on the table at this moment in time. And now you've got something else bubbling up, and Hamas is still there. That's why you get paid the big bucks. $400,000 that you turn over. And by that, I mean you have all of your crypto. Did you see this kids rolled out the phone yesterday? They got the Trump phone? You guys saw that, right?
What Trump phone? What's that mean?
They've got a Trump phone now. It's a Trump phone. It's an actual phone that for $45, $47, you get unlimited access to calls and text messages and everything like that. And it's gold.
For $45, $47.
Does it ring directly to the president?
I have no idea. I don't know. And apparently they're going to have on it, well, first of all, there's some serious questions about this because I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Trump has the opportunity to maybe speak to people when it comes to telecommunications. That was one of the big things they were talking about. But the Don Jr. said you're going to be able to get like a AAA thing on it as well as telemedicine. Those are all at, a different cost. So, but it is a gold phone with a T on the back. Made in China. It's made in China, but not really. Made in the China. Oh, my Lord. Somebody asked me, do you want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? Nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon. But do they have the capabilities at this moment in time to make one? We said in March, no, they didn't. Now that seems to be something that nobody seems to care about. And when Tulsi Gabbard was the one who said it, and now Trump is like, yeah, well, I don't listen to her. It's all frustrating, people. It's all frustrating. It just is. So have you followed any of the new shooting stuff? Because I've been following it and I think I've got it down.
Yeah.
He had actual cop license plates and actual cop gear. And when they pulled up after the first shooting, the cops pulled up. He went to another house and they thought he was actually the police because he also had lights in the whole 9 yards. So the other cops thought he was a cop. And then that's when the whole chaos ensued. So this thing is all over the place. But watching the yesterday, because I got into it with a couple people, seeing people posting pictures of, oh, you guys think he's not a Democrat? Here he is. And pointing out to people, that's not him. That's another guy and his wife who's a Texas state senator. It's this misinformation. We don't even get it right amongst ourselves, for God's sakes. It's crazy. It is. I know you'll love this, Ken. How would you like to have prostate surgery? But you're in Africa and our surgeon is here. Did you hear? This is what makes the world amazing. When all the other stuff is going crazy, when all the other chaos is happening, they are doing butt surgery from around the world. I don't know what else you want to call it.
Surgery.
But it's amazing. So it happens here as far as the doctors go, but there's like a robot surgeon on the other side. So, the first take, guys, the first prostate removed. Thank you, robot guy. Thank you. I appreciate that. And the question, though, is always like, hey, what if things go a little sideways? You know, like, how does this actually work? It's happening so fast, all of this stuff. And this isn't AI yet. So this is still robots. But even now, like when I got my eye done, that guy, he got me set up and everything. And then he went over and talked to my wife. He pushed a button and the machine did the rest.
Yeah, a machine with the doctor did my hernia surgeries.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you think, so when does the AI, because AI is already showing it can diagnose pretty damn well. When does it come into effect where it's, you know, it's going to fly planes soon? You know, that's coming. You do. You know, at some point in time, that's going to be here. And then on the other side of it,
it's going to drive cars too.
Well, they're trying that
already.
One.
Yeah,
we're not quite ready. You know what? I would think flying a plane would be in a much easier position than driving a car, because once you get in the air, there's not a lot there.
Yeah, just the hard part will be taking off and landing.
Yeah, that is a hard part.
Well, and it is right now. That's the only time you got to worry about.
Well, that's when they'll tell you, because the minute they get in the air, they're onto the. It's not like they sit there the whole time for hours just holding.
Yeah, they're just like gripping the wheel, if you will.
You know what? One of my new TikTok obsessions is pilot pay and doctor pay. Have you been there to see the doctor pay? So it's I think it's salary med, and this guy breaks down, like, doctors send him how much money they make, how long they were in school, whether or not they would do it again. Ooh-wee. Some doctors, you think, well, that guy makes $250,000 a year. Yeah, but after taxes, and they live in like New York, you're struggling. You're paycheck to paycheck. Then you got some people like, this guy makes $1.9 million a year with $1 million bonus.
Yeah.
You always wonder, who's the doctor that drives a Ferrari? That's that guy. And the pilot one, too, is very fascinating about how they get paid so they get paid per hour. And, you know, I think 75 hours a month is what they can fly. And as far as they're scheduled. So he goes, sometimes, like this one guy I follow, he's like, sometimes I don't fly 75 hours. There's times that I don't, and there's other times that I do, and they'll ask me to do a little bit more. But he goes, the other day, he goes, this pilot, he was flying more. They had to pay him a bunch. He goes, I was the co-pilot. He was the pilot. He got $5,000 as a bonus to make a flight. We flew from L.A. to Vegas, and then he goes, and then we were passengers on the way back. I'm like, that's good money. That is good money. I mean, it is. You don't want to pay, if somebody's operating on your brain, I don't want them making minimum wage.
No.
Right? I want them competent and the best. If somebody's flying 36,000 people in the feet in the air, I want them to be really, really good and paid well.
Massive.
So like when you get on the plane, or do you look at the pilot and go, do you make a living wage?
I do. I do. You making $275 an hour? Solid. Making $325. What's your new contract say? What kind of watch do you have?
What's your favorite color?
That's it. Well, hey, let me tell you something. You got a lot of gambling debts? I want to make sure you're not just over life. Your wife leaving you? You've got stuff to live for, right? Oh, my Lord. Coming up, more craziness. We got some fun audio, a bunch of other stuff on the way. If you missed the show, shame on you. Grab the podcast. Chad Ben Show, Super Talk 99.7. Raycon, best earbuds around. I love my Raycons, and you should love yours. Why? Because they're awesome. Fit, feel, comfort, second to none. I do a bunch of editing and stuff last night. Guess what? Multi-connectivity. I can be hooked up to two things at once. And because I've been using them a lot, I was able to charge them for like 30 minutes. And whoa, 270 minutes of listening time. It is incredible. If you are looking around going, it's starting to feel good, starting to feel nice, starting to feel like we should get out there and start really working out, having some fun in the sunshine, we need some good earbuds. These are them, the everyday earbuds. Tons of colors to choose from. A great fit, feel, active noise cancellation, 8 hours of talk time, 32 hours of battery life. Trust me, you're going to love these. And they give you that 30-day happiness guarantee. So if you try them and you don't like them, They send them straight. You send them straight back. They give you your money back, no questions asked. What are you waiting for? Go to buyraycon.com/chat today. That's buyraycon.com/chat. The best earbuds around. The everyday earbuds from Raycon. Buyraycon.com/chat.
Glencliff, we've got a crash reported, drivers. It is blocking the left lane, 24 westbound at Briley Parkway. Then in Smyrna, we've got a crash off on the left shoulder. That's going to be 24 eastbound right before Almaville Road. President Trump posts a threat to Iran's supreme leader. This story and more at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Tell me. By the way, I love the way he tried to go kind of with a Mexican accent. We're going to deport all the illegals. White Guy Tuesday.
That doesn't even sound real.
No, that was real. That was so the guy was like, dude, you guys don't even get it, man. You don't even understand what it's all about, bro. You don't get it.
Man, he's changed my mind.
Yeah, do you like him now?
Man, I'm joining. I'm joining that crowd.
I just got called anti-Semitic. Again. Yesterday, by the way, or the day before, or Friday, you guys can see, I wore my Israel shirt in, my Israeli shirt in. I'm not. I'm anything but. I'm a supporter, and I support the people on the ground there, and I don't want them to die and run for their lives. And I would like their war to be in. I'd love there to be peace. I understand you have to protect yourself. That being said, I also think that this guy, Bibi, has other things in mind. We can disagree with stuff. That's the funny. We can have a disagreement with things, and that's okay. A lot of people, let's go back to Iraq. Do you guys remember Iraq? Man, I kept saying this is a horrible idea. We have no reason. There's nothing for us to do. They got nothing. We don't need to be there. Why are we going in here? And what did we do? We opened up a hornet's nest. We left a vacuum. And who filled it? Bad people. Really bad people. So that didn't work. And that's my sense that this could end up ugly. And nobody wants that. Nobody does. But I just, again, it's not, oh, you love Dave Smith. Actually, I never really found Dave that funny. He's interesting to listen to. I like Tim Dillon. He makes me laugh. I like Theo Vaughn. He makes me laugh. I love Theo because he says some of the craziest stuff. What did he say about the, what was that? Elon Musk, the Cybertruck. He goes, it's like driving an email.
Driving an email?
Yeah, so he goes, man, it's like driving an email. All right, let me ask you guys a serious question. Enough of this crap. Do you think that Kraft should mess with Kraft macaroni and cheese?
What do you mean mess with it?
Apparently, they're going to remove all their artificial food coloring and stuff by 2027. I don't know
what the hell's the point?
As long as it tastes the same, I don't care if it's purple.
It's not going to taste
It's not.
the same.
That's the problem right there. It's not, right? It's not. Yesterday, my wife, she goes, try these ramen noodles. And I'm like, why? She goes, they're vegan. Took one bite. They're crap. They're horrible. They're awful. They're crap. Right?
Wait a minute. Aren't noodles vegan to begin with?
Well, it's no, not all, because it depends on what, like, is it beef? It's like,
okay.
But on top of that, even the way that some of the noodles are made may be different in the way they're crafted because they don't want to use any kind of animal byproduct or product. And it was like eating cardboard that tastes, Don't mess with Kraft. Like, if you want to take all the dye out of Jell-O, although what do you have after that?
Clear. It's clear.
What is Jell-O? Does anybody really know? I feel like it's just it's an odd thing.
Horse hooves.
It's a what?
Horse hooves.
Horse hooves? Yeah,
They,
that's right.
They used to make it out of horse hooves.
Which is not something I want because I watch my horse hoof guy, which is so satisfying.
Nate the hoof guy?
Yep, Nate the hoof guy. Nate the hoof guy. I'm sure we've got breaking news about something. Oh, man, this is my favorite. I've got some hilarious. No, leave Kraft macaroni and cheese alone. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Thank you very much. Don't mess with Kraft. You mess with a lot of stuff. Nobody eats Jell-O. You know who eats Jell-O? Really old people and people who are in the hospital, and that's the first thing they give you.
Or kids. Kids will eat it.
I can't even remember the last time. Kids don't eat it.
But Kraft macaroni and cheese is like a rite of passage for a child.
Colonoscopy patients like Jell-O.
He would know.
Colonoscopy. I think you're doing it wrong. Coming up, who knows what? We'll talk about something fun. I promise you that. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. President Trump on Truth Social threatening the life of Iran's supreme leader. It reads, we don't know, or rather, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Unconditional surrender in all caps, exclamation point. Israel and Iran continue attacking each other for a fifth straight day. That is what Al Jazeera says it confirmed to be an Iranian missile strike near Israeli intelligence buildings in Tel Aviv. China's leader Xi Jinping out with his first remarks about tensions in the Middle East, saying his country is, quote, deeply concerned by the sudden escalation. China is a key diplomatic and economic backer of Iran. Xi saying in his remarks that China is willing to play a constructive role in restoring peace and stability in the region. And the man accused of killing Belmont University student Jillian Ludwig with a stray bullet in 2023 is in court for day 2 of a competency hearing. We should learn later today whether or not he'll be declared competent to stand trial. At the time of the shooting, Shaquille Taylor had been out of jail because he had been found incompetent to stand trial for another shooting. However, he was also not eligible for a stay at a mental hospital. And the Census Bureau out with its first look at retail sales for May.
Beating analysts' expectations in April with a slight increase, retail and food services sales for May came in down 0.9% from the previous month, but 3.3% above the figure from May of last year. The month-to-month decline was partly driven by lower levels of car purchases.
The report coincides with the start of the Federal Reserve's 2-day policy meeting and may help to guide the direction of interest rates. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Retirement Ready Toolkit from our friends over at Beacon. You see what's going on in the world. Have you got yourself set up for everything? Man, I'm not just talking about the dollars and cents, which is very important. And in a time of unsettledness like this, it's always good to have a super double, triple, hey, do we know what's going on here? But Beacon wants to do more than just your money, right? More than just dollars and cents. Beacon Capital Management wants to get you the Retirement Ready Toolkit, but they want to talk to you about being a full-service investment advisor, the option of all aspects of retirement planning, including things like healthcare, estate planning, tax planning, and so many other things. Call them today, 615-488-9303, 615-488-9303. They're going to get you out the Retirement Ready Toolkit. You're going to get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Retirement Income white paper. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. Find out what they can do for you. They're local. It's great to sit down and talk with them. So whether you have fear of taxes or your money running out, let Beacon be the beacon for you with Beacon Capital Management. Call 615-488-9303 or online at askbeaconnow.com. Guys, Ken, have you heard Padilla speak on the floor yet?
I was trying to avoid it.
Okay, we have to. Okay, what if you have kids?
You mean speak while he was on the floor, or
Well,
speak?
No, that was a different time. But this right here. I mean, you would think Israel's bombing him. Is how, let's just grab your Kleenex.
Oh my gosh. Wow. This guy is, he is working on being liar of the year. Everybody has seen this video. I would think everybody has seen it.
Well, everybody that, pays attention to this. Alex, I think you can go deeper. I don't think you're really reaching in and grasping who this character is.
Yeah.
You were forced on the ground at gunpoint, right?
Yeah.
They were about ready to execute everyone you loved. Go deeper. Find out what is your inspiration for the character. Alex, come on. You can do it. I don't know what they would think.
Wow.
I think they think you're full of crap after seeing this.
This dude, man.
The cojones, right? Like, this is some cojones.
Well, this is run up to the midterms. This is one of the strategies that Democrats are going to use.
Yeah.
They're going to scare the hell out of people of color, or try to at least. And they're going to claim that, this is what's happening in people's homes.
Yeah, that's the big
They're going to start coming into your home next.
And then everybody saw what happened to him. I mean, unless there was some other thing where they took him in another room and beat him. Like they have in another room, they have oranges in socks because it doesn't leave bruises, right? Because, remember, was it Eddie Murphy? This guy's probably a karate man. He bruises on the inside. So I have no idea. Like, he is, this is insane.
See?
Oh, you're right. Ken, look at that. Give Ken the PowerPoints on that one, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. That's going to be one of them.
If this can happen anywhere, it can happen everywhere. What? No. You want to know why? Because somebody who's here illegally isn't bursting in to the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security and screaming at them about stuff. And I go back to what that guy said on CNN, the former governor of, the former governor of Minnesota, who said, I think they did the right thing. We didn't know who this guy was. He burst in. He's screaming and shouting. You're right, though. It's like, this is what happens behind closed doors. Did you see they're trying to pass a law in California that ICE can't wear face masks, or any law enforcement can't wear any kind of face coverings?
I'm not surprised.
Not the people, though.
Would they be able to force that on a federal agency? Who's
going to come and arrest them or try to enforce that? The people that they don't want dealing with ICE?
Yeah.
Hey, we know you're not supposed to deal with ICE, so don't. But if you see them wearing a face mask, you roll over to them and tell them not to do it. That's the thing. It's all theatrics. Theatrics are fantastic. One more from him because he's just spectacular. What is the point? I'm curious. What was the point for you? You went there, you caused a scene, it worked for you. That's what you wanted. You got everything you wanted. And now it's quiet. Everybody's moved on, right? We moved on from you to Israel, to the shooting over the weekend, and we're now back to Israel versus, the Iran and all of that stuff. So we've moved all over the place. I can't believe he went on the floor and he started tearing up. Man, that is.
Oh, yeah, man.
I mean, think about it. Ken, you're putting in work, dude. That's just not. You just don't show up and you go out and you really practice that.
Oh, yes.
You can't just I'm going to show up and I think I can pull this off. No, he pulled it off, kids. Congratulations to him. He gets nothing, and he's going to win senator again because he's California, but it didn't change anything. Let me tell you what's going on. The same thing that went on last week, just with less chaos because the weekend's gone by and the No Kings Parade happened and all the stuff, and it was done and dusted, and everybody's kind of moved on from that, and we're on to something new now, and next week we'll be on to something else, and oh, for God's sakes. Just, it's never, ever ending in this lunacy. This is interesting. And we're talking, the AI thing is crazy. But Geoffrey Hinton is the guy, Geoffrey Hinton, he's the guy that they call the godfather of AI. He's been on it since the 50s. He's got Nobel Prize. He was talking on a podcast about what he thinks is coming. He said the number one place for unemployment is going to be mid-level management. So he thinks what's coming, he goes, first, you're going to see it. He goes, you're starting to see it in the hiring right now, too. The out-of-school hiring is down big time with the Gen Z group because so much of what you're starting with is going to be done by AI, and they can have one person do 10 people's job.
Yep. My daughter is experiencing that right now.
So, and if you're good at it, if you're good at AI, you're valuable right now. You have AI, and tell your daughter, just put AI on her resume on LinkedIn. 80 people will look, oh my God, I got to what can you do?
Yeah, you're right.
So, because that's all anybody cares about. And then the second, even if they don't, here's the funny thing is, even if they don't know what to do with AI, they want to know you have AI experience.
Yep.
And the second thing he said is paralegals are next. He said they're the first ones to really get hammered. And then he goes, that mid-level management position, that white collar, the hard thing he said is robots, they're not built yet for plumbing, HVAC, for these things. They can design stuff, they can work out how to do certain things, but they're not malleable enough to do any of that, and because it's going to take a while for that. So what we're saying is Busy Bee's awesome. That's why you guys should have went to the job fair. That's why I told my son plumbing, and that's why he said I want to go to a trade school, Dad, because if you've got a good personality, you show up and work, and you get a trade, you're going to be employable for quite a long time.
Things that never will go away.
Everybody poops.
Yes, they do. And nobody wants it backed up in their house or
Nobody
business.
does. Nobody wants to run down. If you got electricity's out, they can't turn it off until tomorrow. You're like, well, I got enough on my phone. I could probably just sit there all night. I'll be fine.
Right.
If you have to go to the bathroom, that second time you have to go and you're like, I can't go to the gas station again. Somebody got to get here. Oh, but so so your daughter she does what?
She graduated with a degree in marketing.
Okay.
And she cannot get an interview anywhere. She has applied multiple places and is told no experience. No experience. Got to have experience.
What would she like to do? Like, if you were to say to her, like, what's your job? Like, what would be your jam, your dream?
Oh, but she does. She is a social media coordinator, for Burger Republic right now. So she does have that.
What's Burger Republic do? What are they? What are they all about?
Just they make really good burgers.
Do they?
And shakes and things like that. So that's good. I mean, she's able to, she's having she's building her resume, if you will.
Does she want to do like her own thing? Would it be like her own company where she's consulting with several? Would that be like a dream?
Well, she wants the $100,000 a year job, that sort of thing.
That is a good job to have.
And I don't know if those jobs are out there for the vast majority of college graduates.
How long has she been out of college?
I want to say 2 years.
Yeah, it takes a bit. You got to build up to that.
Yeah.
It's funny because, like I said, I was watching my little salary thing, and on top of that, they always talk about the residents, and the residents, they break it down by hour. And this one guy's like, "Look, if you work at Target, you make way more money than I do right now, based on my hourly." Now he goes, in 7 years, I'm going to make what you would make in potentially in a month. I'll make what you would make in a year. But I got to get there first at 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
So, and that's putting the time in. But she's got a ways to go. And if she's good with the AI, it's as my uncle said, it's about being an engineer prompt, learning how to describe. Because I use AI for my thumbnails and stuff. And I'll be honest, sometimes I screw up and I'm like, that's not even close to what I was looking for. I don't even know who that is. That's not even a person I described. I don't know if that's real.
Dude, I use it in here. I mean, I will type in, so what you and I talk about, I'm constantly cross-referencing to get to the truth. And one thing that AI does a good job of for me is it brings up every source on the story I'm looking at.
Which is what you want.
And I can mix and match and compare and get to the truth.
Which is, did you see Terry Moran? It was on talking about, my job is to be fair. It's not to have no emotion. And I'm like, yeah, fair is fine. But the truth is all anybody cares about.
Right.
And here's a question. So you guys know what Terry Moran did to, what was his name? Stephen Miller said how he was full of bile and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're right. Right there is a perfect example of you and I have talked about how hard it is to find all of the articles and the information you need in today's world to give you what you need to put together a comprehensive, here is all the information. And so often than not, and it is so tough because people give you half-truths. They only tell your side of the story or the other side of the story.
Narratives.
And that's the beauty of ChatGPT and a lot of these other ones, Gronk. They'll pull up 7 or 8 different articles of where they found stuff and pulled it from, and you can then go, okay, cool. And sometimes they break it up in 2 pages so you can get a good look, which is what you should want.
Right.
Right? Because you want to deliver the truth.
Absolutely.
And in many cases, people only want to deliver their side of the story. They want affirmation, Ken. We're not that people.
We're not those people, brother.
We like stepping on toes, kids, and eating Jell-O. I'm kidding.
I mean, where
gross.
Terry Moran crossed the line of accusing people he covers as a journalist as being hate mongers.
Yeah.
And that's where your credibility now on those stories are out the window.
Well, yeah, because you can't cover them anymore because we know how you feel about them.
Exactly.
And even if you're fair, in my mind, I can't listen to anything you say. So from the audience side of it,
yes,
I can't listen to it. Here's something, though. Does a 40-year-old Terry Moran with a wife and 2 kids, does he do that same thing?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Being
Absolutely
65 and not giving it blank because your kids are out of college and you're living okay and you got some money, it's probably a little bit different. Coming up, more of Ken and I talking about stuff, and maybe we'll ask Bell something about something.
Hi, Brother Bellel.
There he is. He's right there. We see some of his head. It is a Chad Beth. You got something to say?
No.
He doesn't. Hey, by the way, we're out at King's Bowl tonight. You guys are going to come out. We're all going to be there. It's Hug Dan night. Come on. Hug Dan night.
Come on in here, Brother Dan. Give us a big
Give me some sugar.
I think I actually heard Dan talking about how excited he was for be out there hugging the listeners tonight.
That's what I heard too. It's like, normally I don't do this, guys, but for you guys, I'm going to hug you, and I want you to invade my personal space.
Yeah.
It's the Jeff Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. All right, guys, I want to talk to you about my friends over at Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com/chat. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369, one little scoop a day. Think about it, powder supplement. All of us do that, right? You get our smoothies, our things, the creatine, blah, blah. It's the same thing for your dog, except this is, millions of dogs have used this. My dogs swear by this. If they could talk, they're rah, 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 it's great. It's just an amazing thing when you think about dog food is meant to live on a shelf. And even if it's as fresh as you think it is, it's still missing stuff. This brings your dog's food to life. It adds to their world in ways you cannot believe. It helps with aches and pains in their joint. It helps with things like their skin, their fur, great with allergies. It is awesome for big dogs, little dogs. It's great for their digestive tract, their heart health, their immunity, and, of course, their energy levels. So if you got that dog, you take it for a walk, they're kind of down afterwards, look kind of sad and exhausted, you watch what happens here. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens today. All it's going to cost you is shipping. It's a $20 value. You get it for free. Just cover the cost of shipping. ruffgreens.com/chat. ruffgreens.com/chat. USS right now has something amazing for you. The opportunity for them to come out for you at no cost and do what? Check and see if all this rain, all this water, all this stuff you had from the winter all the way through is doing anything to your basement, crawl space, your foundation. Those little cracks, have they become something more? Wood rot, mold. Are you worried about any of those things? You should be, because you know what a pain in the butt that is. And USS is there to help. United Structural Systems, come out, free inspection, and they're not going to sell you anything you don't need. They're not going to try to do something you don't need. They're there to help. And they guarantee their best. This is what they're great at. 30 years experience and improving every single day, because they're amazing. 30,000 happy customers. If you have any worry about any of these things, you're worried about your foundation, you're worried about, hey, has there gotten some stuff in the walls, the down there, you think it's a crack, it's no big deal. You never know what's underneath and how bad it could get, especially as things start to warm up here. Call USS today, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or online at USSTN.com.
All right, drivers, looks like we got a crash reported by police, 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. Then the left lane blocked by a crash, 24 westbound at Briley Parkway South. And then in Madison, police say there's a crash, 65 northbound before Old Hickory Boulevard. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce takes the burning question today after President Trump posted Iran's supreme leader would be easy to kill, but not right now. These stories and more at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, threatening a head of another country feels a little awkward. That's an interesting thing right there.
Yeah, that...
I mean, this coming from a guy who, was almost assassinated.
Yeah. I don't know of any former president that has ever said nobody was posting. I guess Obama posted. But I've never known a president to state something like this.
That is...
and it may have happened, but I don't remember.
I can't remember it either. I mean, you're talking about killing the head of a country. And like I said earlier, you may dislike him, but you guys know what it's like, right? How many times you guys watch Cops, right? Woman's mad, she's pissed, she calls the cops. I can't stand my head. The minute the cops show up, they're going to take him away. She's pissed off at the cops. It's the same thing. You go and kill their leader. Look, there's going to be a lot of pissed off people. There's also going to be a lot of worried heads of state throughout the Middle East who are thinking, well, you could just take any of us out at any time. That doesn't build camaraderie in a place that's already a hot mess. Oh, my Lord. Somebody sent me something with AI, and I thought it was really cool. I'll run through really quick. It had the best jobs, and that one of them was hearing aid repair person and tech.
Interesting.
Because you need to have empathy to give people their hearing back is what it said. Hey, sorry you can't hear, but you're going to, because I care about you.
Well, and now you can get them over the counter.
I always found that to be weird.
So repairmen and women, I mean, they could have plenty of business.
Plenty. Isn't it so weird that you couldn't get them over the counter for years? Like you had to go get special, like prescription for hearing aids.
Yeah.
Weird was that? You know what you didn't back in the day when you used to stick that big thing in your ear that looked like something for your oil, the big funnel? Coming up, hour number 3 of the program, Jeff Benz Show, Super Talk 99.7.
2 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Israel and Iran keep shooting missiles at each other. Moments ago, State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce took the burning question today after President Trump posted Iran's supreme leader would be an easy target, but they're not going to kill him for now.
I mean, would the U.S. government like to see regime change in Iran?
First of all, I'm certainly not going to remotely address that. It would require me to speculate or speak on behalf of the president, which I will not do. What we've seen, though, is clear, is months and repeated statements that all he wants is a peaceful world. His activity and the nature of the actions that the United States has taken and his special envoys have been rooted in one thing, which is negotiations, looking for diplomatic solutions to generational problems that he wants solved diplomatically. That has been his constant posture. And there has been nothing that has changed in what he wishes for, what he would hope to accomplish. And so, of course, that's not something I'm going to address.
Meanwhile, Al Jazeera confirms this was a strike on Israeli intelligence buildings near Tel Aviv. Marcus Moore is in Tel Aviv. He says air raid sirens have been going off all day.
At this point, there's no indication that any of the projectiles that Israeli officials say were fired from Iran hit anything. The information we have, or the indication we have, is that those projectiles were intercepted. But it certainly does speak to really the uncertainty and the tension that exists here right now, not only here in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and across Israel, but the Middle East as a whole.
Yeah, at least 24 people have been killed in Israel and at least 220 in Iran. Here in Nashville, the competency hearing for the man accused of killing Belmont University student Jillian Ludwig with a stray bullet in 2023. Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac on what we've learned about Shaquille Taylor from day one.
On Monday, the judge heard several hours of testimony from doctors and caregivers who say Taylor has struggled with developmental issues ever since he was a toddler. Taylor's history with the legal system goes back to when he was just 15 years old. He was found incompetent to stand trial in 2023 for different charges and then released. That all came just months before prosecutors say he fired the bullet that killed 18-year-old Jillian Ludwig.
The California Democratic senator who was briefly detained and handcuffed after he interrupted Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem at an L.A. press conference is back in Washington speaking out.
Alex Padilla's voice broke as he shared his experience on the Senate floor.
I was forced to the ground, first on my knees and then flat on my chest.
The California Democrat said if authorities can detain a senator,
imagine what they'll do to any American who dares to speak up.
DHS has said the security agents protecting Secretary Noem thought Padilla was an attacker. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Sirens in northern Israel as incoming Iranian missiles identified. Here comes Tom. There goes Dick and Harry. Oh. I don't know. They've moved a lot of their stuff underground. It'll be interesting to see. I heard today that Tel Aviv was a ghost town. So, you know what happened for the first time in May in the history of histories? Streaming had more eyeballs on it than television. First time ever.
I believe that.
I'm surprised it took this long. But maybe because they're making people pay for it.
I was a little surprised that that's the first time it's happened, too.
Probably because they needed the numbers, because everybody probably streamed, but half of everybody was still in their ex's account. Bell.
Hey. What she doesn't know doesn't hurt her.
Oh, my goodness. That's the first time that's happened over a full month. They've had days, but it's a full month. That's why ESPN's trying to figure out what they're going to do. Because they're trying to go to a pay-only model because that's what people want. They want a la carte. I want the Western channels. I don't need the rest of the crap.
I've got those on Roku.
That's right. That's what I got, too.
Only problem is there's about 9 minutes of commercials.
Oh, really? Oh.
Well, I don't want to say 9 minutes, but there's 9 commercials per break.
Oh, I don't like that. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
No, let's not. But I want the Western channels. I want, the history channels. I want those things. I don't need, I don't care. I don't need the murder channel, right? That's the woman's favorite channel.
The murder channel.
These are what you want to know what podcasts are the biggest? Women love to know how to kill men. They love the murder channel.
True crime.
My daughter listens to this podcast called Morbid.
Yeah.
I mean, she freaking loves
the murder channel
podcast.
And
it is pretty interesting.
Well, it is because they get, because we see 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 7 minutes here. They go and they break it down a singular case over a long period of time, whatever it is. And you start thinking, well, maybe this or maybe that, and it goes more in depth than, what was it, Dateline with, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was that guy's name?
Oh, God, yeah. He used to be, is it Dateline?
Is he the guy that, are you talking about the Catch a Predator guy or the,
No, the guy on, it's Dateline. Where they but she's not really the one. Oh, yeah. He's got the big giant head.
Yes.
Is that, he's got a kind of a skinny triangular face?
Keith Morrison. Keith Morrison.
Has he got gray hair?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that Matthew Perry's stepfather?
Yeah, it was his stepfather. Okay. So, but God, who is it? The guy, one of the guys does the best Keith Morrison from Saturday Night Live. Oh, yeah, because that guy is always in.
And if you wouldn't have told me, if you wouldn't have said it, I could have told you his name. Now I can't. I cannot believe I cannot remember.
Yeah.
What is his freaking name? He did Stefan and he did Vincent Price.
Oh God, yeah. So
what was? Oh, I'm so mad. I'm getting mad. Chad, you're making me mad talking about funny stuff.
That's not the point. That's not the point. We're supposed to be having fun. Bill Hader.
Bill Hader, yes.
Have you ever seen him do Tom Cruise?
He's excellent.
When he does Tom Cruise, it's God is my witness. It's like his face morphs into Tom Cruise. It is so creepy. But when he got to go up and meet Keith Morrison, he was just over the moon. Oh,
have you seen his appearance on Charlie Rose with John Malkovich, where he's imitating John Malkovich?
Yes. Oh, is he?
Yeah, and John's like, that doesn't sound like me, and he's like, it sounds exactly like you.
Yeah, that's not what I sound like. He is. Oh, yeah. I just love when he does that because the guy's like, and Jenny was the one who was home at night. And then the Catch a Predator guy, he got all wackadood.
Well, I think he was actually wrapped up in something like that.
Didn't he pass? He got fired, and then he passed a bunch of bad checks, and he got himself in trouble. And they were like, to catch that guy.
What are you doing here? Trying to pass bad checks.
Yes. Did you know you were coming all the way to upstate Connecticut to meet a 12-year-old?
Yeah.
It's sick. Oh, God, that show. That's another one of those. It's another one of those shows where you're just obsessed with. Like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Staying at home. Catch a Predator's on.
Catch a Predator.
Yeah, yeah. And then who's the Ariel Winter? She pretends that she's the actress from Modern Family. She actually is part of one of those teams that goes out and does all the stuff online to try to catch predators.
Catch those predators?
Yeah.
That's good work.
It is.
That's real good.
There's a perfect example of stuff that we don't cover. Last week, did you see what happened in Texas?
No.
They busted a ring of sex trafficking, the kind that was like in that movie. Hundreds and hundreds of people recovering hundreds of kids. Virtually nothing about it. And I mean,
what in the world?
Several agencies. It was Operation something Greek, somebody or other. And
were they able to make a lot of arrests?
Oh, tons. So,
Operation Soteria Shield?
Yes, that was it. And
rescued 109 children.
Yeah.
And arrested 244 alleged offenders.
Nothing. And nobody heard about it. Outside, like they come out and they talk about it, not a word outside of that. Didn't really leave Texas. It was big in a few places, but we didn't talk about it.
Wow.
That's a lot. You're rescuing kids. This isn't like 12 years ago you did something and they're rescuing kids. And the media doesn't want to, like the
109 too. That's just,
wow.
The number in and of itself is just appalling.
Yeah. So was Operation Soteria, which I believe, and look at the people they arrested too.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is the other thing. The insanity of this and the fact that nobody said a word, nobody outside of a few places, it wasn't covered. We're talking 244 people, all kinds of cops, all kinds of people that were part of this that included like teachers and professors and nary a word.
Wait a minute. The teachers and the professors were part of
they were arrested.
Takedown?
Arrested. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a bunch of, creepy people in a van.
Wow, man. And in a lot of these cases, authorities said the sex offenders never actually meet their victims face to face, but they use technology to coerce them into sending explicit images and videos, and then that's where they start sextorting them.
Yeah. Operation Soteria Shield brought together 70 agencies in Texas. 70 agencies. Nothing. I mean, that's how quiet was that?
Nothing. See, that's a sign of the times we're living in.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's a major story.
They said they were grateful to the FBI, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, all the agencies involved in tireless work. But as you said, the sign of times, there was nothing. And you remember, what was that movie that came out a couple years ago with the Angel Studios? Because I did a big thing. I can't even remember. I talk about so much stuff with Jim Caviezel, and he goes out and he rescues all these people. Well, I did a big thing with him about it. We did a movie thing with him out. And the amount of people on the left that would text me and say, it's all lies, it's baloney, like none of this happened in this true story. And yeah, some of it was, they put a little egg on some of this stuff, you know what I mean? But so much of it really happened. They introduced the people to it, and they tried to destroy the people that were the stars of the movie who actually took down some of these people by going, well, this guy, he was caught drunk driving in 2004, so therefore anything he does after that doesn't count anymore. And you heard nothing about this.
Wow.
I do a show in Texas, and I heard very little about this, even on some of the stations I was on. Didn't talk much about it.
That's huge.
244 arrests, 109 children rescued. And nary a word. You didn't see it on CNN, MSNBC. You didn't see it even on the nightly news. You figured you may get a blurb for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. But something this size would have been huge. Because I remember, do you remember back in our day, the Satanic Panic? where everything was Satan, and that a lot of it stemmed from that McMartin Children's School that they arrested those people for supposedly sacrificing a child at a preschool, and the kids all testified. They all crumbled under the test. They testified on the stand because they were completely coerced. But it started this thing where everybody was a child predator. I mean, it ruined those people's life. The McMartin School, I mean, just destroyed their lives. And they all ended up they were not guilty. It was so ridiculous. But you heard about it. It was nightly news all the time. This is 1,000 times bigger, and it actually happened, and nothing. Nothing.
Everything is so hyper-focused on politics.
Sound of freedom. Operation, what was it called again?
Soteria.
Soteria.
And I don't know what that means.
Soteria, if I'm correct, is a Greek goddess of some sort. Soteria is Greek. Primarily means salvation, deliverance, or preservation. It encompasses the idea of being saved from harm, danger, and destruction. It can refer to both physical safety and spiritual well-being. The term is also associated with the Greek goddess of safety and salvation, Soteria. There you go. And that's what this was. It was a shield. They came out and helped people, which was awesome. Sound of Freedom. I appreciate that. That movie was great. That was an absolutely fantastic movie. Just this. When you read through this thing and the quiet, like, here you are, you're a news guy, and I didn't even remember seeing anything on ABC about it.
Nothing. I just did a search, and there's nothing on it.
So,
I mean, it may be on their website, but it's just not. That's a major deal, man.
And the question is, like, I'm looking up here. So you type it in, and you think it would pop up in all kinds of news agencies. Where is it? All local stuff. KTBS, Austin Statesman, KLTV. It's HS Today, KLBK, Dallas Fort Worth 5. That's it. There's no, it's not ABC, NBC, CBS. It's not splashed everywhere. Like it should have been on the day that it happened and they announced it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they held a news conference. I mean, I could go to YouTube and find the news conference.
Yeah, they did. But think about this. What did we see last week? We saw that Alex Padilla just like he'd been shot.
Yeah.
He's giving speeches on the damn floor today in tears. We'll play some of that because it's hilarious.
They put me on the floor.
I didn't think I was going to make it. I was worried for my life.
And all I wanted to do was ask a question.
He's a method actor, you know. We'll talk about that. A bunch of other stuff straight ahead. More on the war. What war? There's no war. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital wants you guys to call my buddies at Bulwark Capital. 866-779-RISK. In times like this, uncertainty, things are a little bit crazy. Now's a great time to find out what's going on with your investments, and Bulwark's going to help you with that. Whether it's your retirement, your investments, where do you go from here? Whether you're young or old, call them today and talk about what they can do for you. They're going to give you a second opinion, all right? So it's a risk review. They go through your portfolio, take a look at it, tell you what it is that you're looking for when it comes to your retirement, where maybe you need to pull back a little bit, or maybe you're not putting enough into certain things to try to grow it in the way that you want to live. It's not cookie cutter. It's about you. And that's the beauty of Bulwark. Now you can go to knowyourriskpodcast.com, knowyourriskpodcast.com to sign up for Bulwark, or call 866-779-RISK. That's 866-779-RISK. For my good friends and yours over there at Bulwark Capital Management. Investment advisory service offered through Check Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investment involve risk, not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee. Future results. 25217. All right, guys, I want to talk to you about My Pillow right now, $24.99 for the best beach towels around. They're big, too, so if you're a bigger fella or gal, don't worry about it. My Pillow's got you handled right there. Super absorbent, tons of colors and styles to choose from. That's what I love about these, made in America. And that's a great thing about this company. Absolutely incredible. And the opportunity right now to get these in a great way, cheap way, just $24.99 for these amazing beach towels. Because, hey, let's be real. It's getting warm. We're going to be out pool. Maybe some of you out there hanging out, going to the beach this weekend or this summer. You want to take a towel with you that soaks up the water, feels great. You can wash it over and over again, not have to worry about bleed out and losing all that. And super absorbent, which I love. And that's where My Pillow comes in. Go to mypillow.com/Benson. It's mypillow.com/Benson. Take advantage of this right now while supplies last. Amazing company. Made in America. These towels are incredible. Big, super absorbent, and great to look at. mypillow.com/Benson.
All right, drivers, police reporting a crash in Berry Hill, 65 northbound, right after I-440. Then 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane, 65 northbound before Old Hickory Boulevard in Madison. Lots of questions after President Trump posted what appears to be a threat on the life of Iran's supreme leader. We've got that and more at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
He reached for it. You know, he went to other whenever you watch somebody, and he reminds me of Daniel Day-Lewis, right? So the reason Daniel Day-Lewis, for you guys, arguably the greatest actor of our generation, the reason he doesn't act is because he's a method actor. So method actors, they live in their character all the time. That's what they do. My buddy worked on, my buddy Ray, he worked on, was it the Last of the Mohicans and Lincoln with him. So let me tell you something. He lived in a teepee the whole time, and he walked around barefoot, did the whole just like in his character. And for Lincoln, you had to address him as like Mr. President. Like
he is in character.
And what happens though is you live in that character for years. His last movie that he did, I think it was a movie about him being a dressmaker. He got nominated for Academy Award, but for 2 years, he was like an apprentice dressmaker to learn how to do this part. Now, other people just go and act, but that's not who this guy. And Alex Padilla is obviously playing the part, and he plays it so well. There's more. Okay. I wasn't a fan about the military, but at what point do you ask your governor and your duly elected officials, hey, no on this? And did you see what happened in Oakland this past weekend?
Nope.
It was as bad as you think the riots were. What happened in Oakland this weekend is they took over 2 blocks so they could race cars and spin out and do all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it was like it's Mad Max. You've got maybe 1,000, 1,500 people screaming and cheering. They started by lighting some cars up, and then they're out there spinning around, crashing cars into each other and doing all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, this is what you allow your city. This is why you guys don't have an In-N-Out burger anymore.
Yeah.
You lost an In-N-Out burger because of crime. And how did ABC News, I think I have it, ABC News described it. This is just so spectacular. Listen to this. Hey,
by all means.
They're just having fun watching. They're not their cars. They stole people's cars, zoomed them around, crashed into each other, lit them on fire, jumped up and down on them, and then everybody else came and they did their donuts and stuff.
See, these people need to have this stuff happening right outside their front door.
Today, when I was on,
gets their attention.
When I was on with the chicks on the right, I filled in this morning. They said, I don't know why they don't get it. And I said, it's simple. When you hear these other, because you got a lot of other people who are like, no, this isn't safe. And she goes, and Daisy said to me, well, why aren't they doing anything? And I said, because it's not in front of their house. If this was in front of Mayor Bass's house or Gavin Newsom's house or any mayor's house, you bet your kitty ass they'd shut it down in a heartbeat.
Oh, yes.
But it's nameless, sightless, out in the middle of nowhere, places that they're never caught unless it's election time.
Yep.
And so be damned with them. Just insane. Insane, I say. Coming up, what will we do? Will we strike Iran? Reports are coming out that Trump is shifting towards using U.S. military to strike Iran's nuclear facilities, although he also said, we don't think our bunker busters will be good enough, which is odd. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, and you could yell at us. And remember, tonight, Matt is broadcasting live from Kings Bowl out there in Franklin. Go out there. We're all going to be there. Ken, are you coming out afterwards, or what's the deal?
I am not. I've got something I've got to be at.
Shame!
On time this evening, and I won't be able to do that if I head out there.
All right. Well, that means the only person you're allowed to talk tonight is Dan, and he is looking forward to it. It is Dan Huggin Tuesday, Kings Bowl tonight. We're all going to be there celebrating, well, really talking and discussing Trump's first 6 months. And boy, it feels like the longest year of the 6 months, if you can say that. I think you can. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Lots of questions today after President Trump posted to Truth Social what appears to be a threat on the life of Iran's supreme leader, which reads, Iran's supreme leader would be an easy target, but we are not going to take him out, kill, at this time. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce was asked about that.
Would the U.S. government like to see regime change in Iran?
First of all, I'm certainly not going to remotely address that. It would require me to speculate or speak on behalf of the president, which I will not do.
What about Iran getting close to having a nuclear bomb?
Is the U.S. government and the Israeli government on the same page when it comes to the intelligence about Iran's nuclear weapons program?
That is a question for the White House and perhaps the NSC. That's not something I can answer here.
Meanwhile, Israel and Iran trading more attacks today. Prosecutors in Los Angeles announcing new charges against people accused of violence during the recent protests following immigration raids.
Much of the violence in the protests was done by people wearing masks, their faces covered, but now announcing a slate of new charges against suspects accused of assaulting police, firing fireworks at them, and setting patrol cars on fire. L.A. County DA Nathan Hochman says tips and video evidence are leading them to those who committed crimes.
And when they get this evidence, they're going to find these people behind these masks, behind these coverings.
Federal prosecutors are also filing charges against around 20 people accused of committing violent crimes in the protests. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Right now in Tennessee, News 2 says 12 inmates involved in that 3-hour June 8th riot at Trousdale Turner Correctional Facility have been indicted. Authorities say guards were held hostage. Tear gas had to be used to contain the inmates in cells. The grand jury returning charges of aggravated riot, inciting a riot, robbery, aggravated kidnapping, aggravated assault, vandalism, and contraband in a penal institution. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
All right, guys, why don't you get out and see my friends out in Burna? Be out there in Franklin tonight. It's awesome. Burna is a new type of technology, and you see it even a lot in these riots and these things that are going on. It is less lethal, and it is amazing. Feel, look just like a gun, and the way that it reacts is incredible. And why is it important? For a lot of people out there, first of all, you don't need a license. There is no waiting period. You can buy it, and the power behind these things is very similar to many of these things. They got one that looks just like a Glock now, and let me tell you something, handles like it. And when you're looking to practice, because a lot of people, it's expensive to go out and practice and shoot. Well, guess what? Instead of dropping a couple $100 every time you go, how about going to a place like Burna right here in Franklin, being able to practice there all the time for a fraction of the cost and getting a real feel, even at home in your backyard and stuff. It is incredible. Contact them today. Go check them out. They're open 7 days a week. Check them out, what they can do for you at their website, byrna.com. That's Burna Technologies, Burna.com, or call 615-558-0534. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Chad. I want to talk to my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Check out everything they do at painisbad.com. Right now, the presidential special, $34 for your first consultation, x-rays if needed, and first treatment. Why? They tried to get Trump 34 times, and they didn't. So why? This is part of the savings, $34 right now. That is huge. It's part of the big 47. Here's the great thing about them. You're back. One of those things, guys, there's no magical powers. When stuff starts to go south, people get frustrated. They start to give up. They start thinking about that Hail Mary, which is surgery. Non-surgical spinal decompression. They can show you with Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, their years of experience, how to get your back, how to build a plan for you and start a pain-free life. It is absolutely possible. Call the Wellness Institute of Nashville today, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com. This was yesterday, John Carl, talking to this guy called Bibi Netanyahu. So that's it. You kill him, apparently. And if did I hear that right? It brings this to an end.
That's what he said.
Okay. So once, why didn't you kill him 6 months ago? 5 years ago? You had the capability. Now, they're saying tonight there is going to be some sort of massive strikes, and Trump is weighing his options. But he did say earlier, what was it? We know where you're at. We It feels like we're already in this game. Now, if we are, then we could maybe expect it to maybe come back to us. We have, I think, 17 bases within reach, about 40,000 troops. That's a lot of And I'm uncomfortable with that. A lot of people today we've talked about, you seem to be totally fine with war and think that this is going to be the thing. We're going to find out. And it depends on how far we go. Are we going to take out a leader? You were right, Ken. Nobody's really chimed in about, we went after Gaddafi after the embassies, after the taking down of the Pan Am flight. But I can't remember the last time we didn't go out and say we're going to kill the head of a state.
Yeah, I do not recall a threat like this as specific as it is.
Yeah.
Now, Ronald Reagan, he did a lot of saber rattling.
Yes, he did.
But he never got specific like that as far as I can recall.
No, I don't.
Or George H.W. Bush.
No.
When it came to Saddam Hussein, I don't think.
Well, we went into their country. We invaded them.
Right.
Because we were like, oh, they got weapons of mass destruction. We know it. And you're like, no, they don't. They don't have any of that. And the stuff they did have, they probably don't even have anymore. Why? Because we sold it to them. Why? So they could fight Iran. You guys remember that?
Well, when they put the coalition together for Desert Storm, the first war?
Yeah, Desert Storm, the first one.
He had to agree that they would not push to Baghdad, and the point was just to get them out of Kuwait, and they would not try to kill Saddam. He had to agree to that.
Yeah. And remember how close we were originally? We were close, but then everybody said, no, don't. Why? Because crazy kept crazy in. And then we decided to go in after there. And, now is, so I guess it's not war, but we're going to get involved. I said last week, how Bibi goes, right, is going to be a big deal. And I think he's doing his own thing. And I think he's talking to Trump. And they got all this. And you said earlier, Ken, Trump needs to come out and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is, because you're going to put people at risk. I mean, last week, that really quiet, was it Wednesday or Thursday when they started moving people out of State Departments, families off the bases quietly. And then kind of made an announcement, hey, earlier today we moved a whole bunch. Because why is that? Well, is it because of this? Trump said earlier he doesn't think our bunker busters will get down enough to do them any damage. So if we're worried about them getting a nuclear bomb, and that's what this is supposed to be about, which I don't buy, but if we're worried about that, and our bunker busters can't get to where they need to get to, that would mean plan B is what? Because if we can't blow up their facilities to where we think they've got them, then that would mean we'd have to go in there. So, and the question, of course, what about Congress?
This is something that's happened in the last few days. I think the president is perfectly within his authority in the steps that he has taken. Clearly, if this thing were to extend for some period of time, there could be a more fulsome discussion about what the role of Congress should be.
If you're using our planes, that's a much different thing than using a drone. A drone's kind of that weird because we're firing it out there. We're not really, it sounds weird because you're still going out trying to kill people and blow stuff up. But when you start getting the human beings involved in it, I think that's where this situation gets definitely a little bit more sketchy. More from John Thune.
They're working secretly to rapidly.
Oh, no, that was not John Thune. John Thune, I'm sorry, folks. That was this guy called Bibi Netanyahu. Let's hear more from him.
Weaponize this in a few months, they would have nuclear bombs. That's what they want to do. They want to continue stringing the U.S. along, build up those weapons. They don't want to seat at the table. They want to blow up the table. Specifically, they want to blow up Israel.
So, as Ken brought that up, so Ken, last week it was they have nuclear weapons. Then it was they were going to invade us. And
at first it was the invasion.
The invasion.
Then over the weekend, it became nuclear weapons.
And then it was ballistic missiles. Okay. That's what I'm trying to get what all this is about. But like the talks, right? Like I'm a big deal about talks, but I don't think talks are going to, at this point in time, it doesn't seem that talks are going to get anything done.
They want to continue to have these fake talks in which they lie, they cheat, they string the U.S. along, and, we have very solid intel on that. But of course, they want to keep on building their nuclear weapons and building their mass ballistic missile arsenal, which they're firing at our people.
Are you firing anything at their people? How would you react? If we got attacked tonight, would you expect our military to shoot back or to stand down? That's a very, those are fair questions. Look, there's no doubt that the regime is awful. We can all, I think, agree to that. But if you want change, and the thing is, do you just want to oust this guy? And I keep asking everybody, what happens after you get rid of him? So you go, you kill him, then what? Because we've always talked about it. The reality of us is not just America, the West. We're great at getting into all kinds of stuff. But it is the getting out of the stuff that we've had a large problem with. We spent 20 years in Afghanistan. We had a horrible pullout. But even before that, unless we were there, as Ken loves to joke, the minute we left, their entire military fell apart in 2 minutes.
They just said, okay.
Thanks for the uniforms. We appreciate all the good food you gave us. Have a wonderful life. So, I mean, is this going to be an occupation? And some of you have texted me and said, we're just going to blow them up. They have 90 million people. That sound like something that doesn't sound like something we're interested in doing. Because you still have to live in the neighborhood. And we also still have to deal with the likes of Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Qatar, Yemen, Jordan, Egypt, Turkey. We can go on and on. Turkmenistan, our favorite. Not to mention, Lebanon and a few of the others. I mean, you still have to deal with, are we going to, somebody said earlier, maybe they should just destroy all of the Middle East. That seems like a bit much. And some of you want that. I just don't see the need. And Trump is talking like, I always thought this guy was all about peace. And here's a question to all of you. What is Iran's threat to you and I? Bell, what's the threat to you? Do you go to sleep at night and think that, they're coming for me?
No, I've got other things to worry about.
Yeah, he does. Ken, is this your top of the mind thing?
China.
And that's the other thing, by the way. We're moving all our hardware over there. If I'm China right now, I go, I might just try to see what's going on with Taiwan.
I mean, I definitely don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon.
No, God, no.
China would love for that to happen.
Yes, of course they would.
But Iran they don't scare me personally. But the world is such a powder keg right now.
It is.
There does not seem to be any inclination by Vladimir Putin to stop murdering Ukrainians.
No.
There just does. I don't.
No.
It just does not seem like.
Last night was the worst night they may have had the entire time in Kyiv.
Right.
And that just seemed to have disappeared. Like, well, we couldn't deal with it, so we're on to this now. And we've got this situation going on. That's not a situation. Let's step back for a second. As a human being, if you can't accept the fact that what's going on in Gaza, not with Hamas, they're scumbags. We all want them dead. But with the Palestinian people, they're just bombing rocks that are big into smaller rocks. I mean, and this isn't going to, what comes out of this long term? Because Israel still has to live there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a part of it. And I think everybody thinks we'll just drop a bomb, we'll nuke them, that'll be that. We're not doing that. That's a whole step up of something different.
Well, and I mean, where do 10 million people, talking about Tehran, where do they go?
I don't know. Trump told him to get out of town. That's
Did
a
you
great
see
question.
the images of the traffic tie-ups?
It was insane.
And I'm not making a joke about traffic. I'm serious as to where do they go? I mean, how many millions of Syrians do we have still living out in tents? The refugees of the Assad regime.
Go look at what's going on right now throughout Europe. All of these nations that have not just Syria and many of these other places, but also, so if they were to go in and to just destroy it like many of you want them to do, then those people, 90 million, are going to have to go somewhere. They're not all staying there. Then there's going to probably be a civil war because somebody's going to want to ascend to the top. And then what happens when that person ascends to the top and they're not quite what we want?
And Europe's not going to let them in.
No, they can't afford to. They're going to have to go somewhere. And do you think Jordan doesn't want them? Right? Because remember, they're Islam, but there's all kinds of Islam.
Yeah.
And so you got Jordan, you got Egypt. You think any of them want them? No. They're going to go to Palestine? Probably not. Are they going to go to Qatar, Saudi Arabia? For sure not. So it's a powder keg. You've got to think about the steps ahead. And I don't know. It's going to be an interesting situation.
And maybe they are. I mean, that's why the only thing that is standing out to me is the reasons for Israel acting unilaterally have changed. It started out there was an impending invasion, which I get. But then all of a sudden it became, oh, well, they've almost got a nuclear bomb. Yeah. And, I mean, we've known about this for years.
The truth moves all over the place with them. Whatever is convenient, it seems. And then I thought we were about peace. Trump says, I'm trying to make a deal. We're talking tomorrow. And then Friday night, he goes and does this. That's off the table. And they're calling Israel, the mullahs, and America saying we'd like to make a deal. Now it's like no deal.
Well, and as late as Friday, the State Department and Trump was talking about this meeting that was supposed to happen Saturday between Iran and the U.S. delegation on nukes. But then Israel attacked and
that went away. It's going to be interesting. Coming up, our buddy are we good with Matt? Is he there? All right. We got Matt Murphy. He is live at Kings Bowl. We're all going to be there tonight. It is Hug Dan night. We're also going to talk about politics and all kinds of stuff. Come out, hang out with us, get some food, say hi to us, talk about Trump's, first 6 months in office and all the chaos and craziness. And who knows what will happen between now and the time you come hang out with us tonight. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Exciting day. A lot of good hate. I got called all kinds of names, Matt.
What are you getting called names for, Chad? What do you care?
No, I don't really care. I mean, it's.
Well, you talk about it a lot.
No, it's fun because I get called stuff. I'm like, I've never even thought about being called that.
Yeah, I figure that opinions are like a-holes. Everybody's got one, so.
And they're usually stinky.
And they're,
And it's just, how is it out there, man? You're out there. So is Dan there? Is it when does the Hug a Dan line begin?
I don't know when Dan's going to be getting here. We've got Bert setting up our cameras. We got Curb setting up all of the technical equipment. Greg from our promotions department is here. I'm here. There are folks bowling. I mean, we're having a great time at King's Bowl. We're going to have a good time tonight, too, man.
I'm pumped. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're all going to be out there.
A lot of fun.
Chris was very excited.
A lot of hugs.
Chris was super excited. He says he has events. He gets anxious about events, so he shows up extra early. Is he there yet?
He is not there yet, but as soon as he gets here, everyone's invited to jump on the radio. And, because what we need, you know what I feel like we need at this juncture in our lives? We need more robust opinions about Iran, Israel, and what to do in the Middle East. I think we need more opinion on that.
I've gotten a lot of opinions from kill them all to doubly kill them all to kill everybody in the Middle East was my favorite one today.
Turn it into a sheet of glass. That's always a good one.
That is always a good one.
We always appreciate that.
I don't know how that would work out for everybody because if you're going to do that, there's a good chance that Israel, who would be doing part of that, probably would have to move for a couple thousand years.
Yeah. What do you think? And I'm going to ask this question when I start off the show at 3:00. What do you think, since we're in the world of hypotheticals, because that's all that we're doing right now. We're just engaging in a lot of hypotheticals. What if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if this happens, what if that happens? What would happen if the United States of America just disengaged completely from the Middle East? What do you think would happen?
Well, I mean, I think the Middle East would go sideways, and I think, I don't think everybody thinks that Israel would be dead in a second. And I don't think that would happen.
Oh, it would take longer than a second.
It would take longer because they still have nuclear weapons. And if everybody else doesn't have a nuclear weapon, you're less apt to go after that. And by disengaged, you mean pulling our bases. We're still doing business with people.
No, I'm talking about well, you can't do business if you don't have security protocols. No, you can't do – you have to have security in order to engage in business, right?
Well, some business, yes. So, look, I'm fine with that if we're good with oil being,
Now, it was inspired by a caller of mine who said that I had a caller yesterday that said, we just need to get out of there. We need to, like a total isolationist position, that we should not engage in any way. And I was like, well, you have to engage in certain ways in order to continue to engage in the world economy, so we shouldn't do that either. And I'm wondering, I wonder what the world would be like if the United States of America, instead of being the leader of the world, which has its set of responsibilities, just decides that it's just going to – it's like John Galt's this thing and just says, see ya.
Well, I mean, look, could we do that possibly? I've said that about, China, because I think China wants to dominate the world more than a lot of these other places do.
Well, somebody's going to be a leader, right?
If somebody's got to be a leader. That'd be very interesting. I'd like to see. I mean, do I think we should have less sway in certain parts of the world like that, where I think we get ourselves into a lot of positions? But there's a lot of, this. It's not about the issues over there. It's about the money being made here, Matt, that matters the most. Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of that. All right, we're all going to be out there tonight. Matt's out there. He's straight ahead. Kings Bowl. We'll see you out there.